The funny thing is, I thought moving to Maple Hollow would be my second chance. A little quiet, a little snow, maybe a shot at finally breathing easy for once in my damn life. But let me tell you, nothing wakes you up faster than seeing your HOA president bury a fire hydrant under 4 feet of snow, just for curb appeal. And nothing, not 22 years of running toward burning buildings, not divorce, not losing more friends than I can count, prepared me for the day I'd end up digging through ice with my bare hands while the same woman screamed at the fire that was eating her house. Alive. Yeah, that happened. So buckle up, because this is the story of how pride nearly burned a whole neighborhood to the ground, and how a stubborn old firefighter decided he'd had enough of letting pretty snowdrifts hide ugly truths. I rolled into Maple Hollow in January, the roads frozen solid, the world quiet except for the kind of hush that settles over everything after a big snow. Houses lined up like soldiers, icicles shining, not a footprint out of place. Looked like the kind of postcard you tack above a fireplace you never use. After the city, after all the noise and pain, I thought, hey, maybe I can heal here. Mornings splitting wood, afternoons with coffee on the porch, evenings fixing whatever the hell decided to break that day. Just me, the cold, and the hope that my daughter Abby, still living with her mom, might visit, maybe make this place a home again. First person I met? Karen Delaney, president of the HOA, striding across the street in a red parka that probably cost more than my first car, every step saying this is my world and you just moved into it. She stuck out her hand, firm grip, too practiced. She handed me a binder thicker than a fire code manual, full of rules about trash cans, wreaths, lawn ornaments, and, this was important, absolutely nothing about what to do when your house is on fire. I thought, sure, rules are rules. I lived by rules that mattered, rules that kept people alive. Wreath diameter wasn't one of them, but whatever, right? 2 days in, I'm shoveling a path and hit something solid. Not a rock, dull red. Shaped just like the thing I'd bet my life on for 2 decades. Fire hydrant. Or, more accurately, a fire hydrant's grave. For feet of packed snow, carved so clean you'd think it was done by a sculptor. And it sat smack in the no man's land between my new place and Karen's palace across the street. Anyone who's ever worn turnout gear knows. You bury a hydrant, you bury people. Simple as that. So I walk over to Karen's, still in my old department coat, the one that never lost the smoke smell. She opens the door, earbuds in, treadmill humming. That look people get when they've never had to haul a hose through their living room at 3 in the morning. Karen, that hydrant's buried. I say, that's not just a bad look. That's a death sentence if something goes wrong. She barely blinks. Says it's part of the approved winter contouring. That the hydrant is aesthetically disruptive. I try to explain. 10 seconds. 10 seconds digging for water is the difference between a kitchen fire and a funeral. She shrugs. The board voted. The hydrant is city property, and if I touch it again, she'll call the lawyer. You ever get that feeling when you realize you're not just arguing with a person, but with a system built on pretending bad things never happen? That was me, right then. I didn't let it go. Couldn't. Next morning, I dug the thing out. Anyway, the snow fought me every inch, my back screamed, but I kept going. Old habits die hard. And sure enough, as soon as I was done, Karen's on her porch, phone out, filming. Didn't say a word. Just let the camera do the talking. That night, I got my first fine, $200 for tampering with common area snow features. A stack of legal threats followed. Each one went in a folder. I poured a whiskey I shouldn't have had and toasted the reflection of a man who apparently just started a war over a red chunk of metal. Then it escalated. I got fined for a porch light, a garden bed hidden under a foot of snow, even my garbage cans being out 3 minutes late. HOA board members started lurking with clipboards, like middle schoolers passing notes. And the neighbors? They acted like I'd just insulted their grandma in church, until I started knocking on doors. You're not the first, whispered Lois, a widow 2 doors down. Be careful. She keeps files. That weekend, more snow. I'm out there again, digging the hydrant clear, packing the snow to make a point. Karen comes storming out, phone in hand, screaming about cease and desist orders and private property. Funny, I told her. I'm just following the fire code. Wanna bet who wins when the alarms go off? She did not see the humor. But here's the twist. Rachel, the young mom from 2 houses over, showed up that night, brought cookies, hands shaking, whispered that she'd overheard Karen tell the landscapers to bury the hydrant to teach the new guy a lesson. She handed me a signed note with the date and time, said she was scared, and ran back into the dark. And that was it for me. The line was drawn. I called in favors, sent everything, photos, fines, witness statements, to a buddy at the fire department. Next week, the fire marshal showed up, took one look, and slapped a big red violation sticker on the snow. Karen lost it. More fines, more threats, more lawyers. But the tide had started to turn. Neighbors came out with shovels. We cleared every hydrant in Maple Hollow, kids cheering. Someone made a group text called Operation Red Sentinels. Even the local news picked up the story. By then, Karen's name was mud. Her allies on the board folded, one by one. The community finally spoke up. People stood at the next meeting and said enough. This wasn't about me. It was about all of us. Our homes, our kids, our peace. But pride doesn't let go easy. Karen kept fighting, right up until the night the blizzard hit. Power out, wind screaming, and then the sirens. Flames clawing out of her second floor, the hydrant buried again by a perfect mountain of snow. The crews arrived, couldn't find the water. I dropped to my knees, digging like a madman, bare hands going numb. I found it, finally. They got water, but it was too late for the house. Karen stood outside in her robe, screaming at the fire and everyone around. There's a kind of heartbreak in realizing you did this to yourself, and there's nobody left to blame. When it was over, I sat on the curb, hands bleeding, feeling less like a hero and more like someone who just survived the worst kind of neighbor war. The city pressed charges. Karen's name was wiped from every HOA record. We made sure every hydrant in the neighborhood was marked, painted, and kept clear. We built something better out of the ashes. The bylaws got a rewrite. If it endangers lives, it's out. The HOA became about potlucks and safety checks, not lawn ornaments and fines. We put up a plaque, not with my name, just the story. Abby came for the ceremony, hugged me hard, said she was proud. That's the stuff that sticks, you know? The world moved on. Kids painted the hydrants like rainbows, neighbors started waving again, and Maple Hollow felt like a place you wanted to live, not just survive. Karen moved away. Nobody talks about her now. Her name's just a cautionary tale, a ghost. Sometimes, on quiet nights, I think about her. Do I forgive her? Maybe the part of her that's in all of us. The part that wants control more than connection. That chooses pretty over people. We're all a little guilty of that, aren't we? But I learned this. You can bury a hydrant. You can bury the truth, for a while. But you can't bury people once they decide to stand up and dig. If you ever had to fight for something that should have been simple. If you've got a story about standing up to pride, to power, to a system that forgot its soul, tell it. Comment below. Because in the end, the only thing that keeps us safe is each other. And that's a kind of justice worth digging for.